Hey, what's up, fam? Thank y'all for tuning in once again. As always, be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And when you do subscribe, hit the notification bell so every time I drop a video, you will be the first to know about it. So let's talk about the police. You know, we talk about racism, systemic racism, defunding the police, all that. Now, I am a staunch believer that we do not need to defund the police because you need law enforcement. But what I will say is, what we need to do is dismantle this whole police system across the country and just revamp it. Just put in new training methods. Like I said before, you got countries where you have to train for 2 years before you can become a police officer, which makes sense because one, you are a public servant, protecting, taking care of the people. Two, you have people's lives in your hands. And for you to have access to weapons and to make decisions that can, at the blink of an eye, can take a life, man, you gotta have as much training as possible. Because when that decision comes, as a nurse, as a doctor, when you're in the medical field, you have to have years of training. The least amount of training you have to have as a registered nurse is 2 years. 2 to 4 years, doctor, 8 years, hell, lawyers, 6, 8 years, whatever the case may be. Most professions, you have to have years of schooling and training before you can actually call yourself a professional. And then take tests. To say it's okay for people to train for a few weeks to a few months, and say that you are able and capable of going out there on these streets and controlling people's lives is crazy. Now, this has to do with the police department. This has to do with also the law system as a whole, which probably, because you look at it, needs to be revamped too. Because there's a lot of cases like this one we finna get into where it doesn't make sense, the verdict. But we'll go ahead and get into it and we'll try to break it down as we go along. This is from news.yahoo.com by way of CNN, and it reads, judge overturns murder convictions of Chester trio after more than 2 decades in prison. Now, you look at the picture, these are 3 young black males. If you want to get it already out there, they were young at the time, probably hanging out, probably kicking it, you know, probably just doing what teenage people do, white, black, Hispanic, whatever. Teenage kids do in America, hanging out, whatever, getting into a little mischief from time to time, what have you. But it does seem like a lot of times our youth is always looked at a little harder, punished a little harder, accused a little more than other people of things that they may have done, did do, or didn't do. But it seems like no matter what, we always been accused. We could be just walking down the street, eating Skittles on our way home, and somebody think we're up to no good. And then next thing you know, we don't make it home. And the person who made sure we didn't make it home is still walking these streets as a free man. You have to kind of understand that. Or was a guy that was, I can't remember what little town it was, but remember it was a young brother that was jogging through a neighborhood, he looking at new houses. Now I know, shoot, he looking at new houses and these people in the neighborhood got suspicious because he stopped and looking, thinking he was stealing, but no, he just jogging, and they chased him down and gunned him down in the middle of the street. And I sit here and think of myself, I said, I remember being young. Hell, even now, whenever you looking for a house, but being young, and sometimes you have hopes and dreams, and you're doing the right thing, and you say, man, you get out your neighborhood and you go to these new houses, these subdivisions being built, You ride around, you get out and you look at these homes like, oh, this is nice. That's not, you looking around, going through open houses, thinking, this is what I want. So I'm going to continue to work every day. I'm going to continue to do 2 or 3 jobs. I'm going to continue to go to school. And so I can become professional, so I can get this for myself and my family and my kids, so we can live in this nice neighborhood and get out of the hood and get out of the ghettos and stuff like that. I've done that in the past, not even thinking that if I walk out the house, somebody's gonna shoot me. But anyway, like I said, that's just the system. But let's get into the story. It says, citing new DNA evidence, a Pennsylvania judge on Thursday overturned the murder conviction of 3 men known as the Chester Trio, who have been in prison for nearly 25 years for a crime that they say they did not commit. Can you imagine being locked up anywhere for 25 years, stuck anywhere, because of an accusation or something that there's really no evidence against you, no pertinent, tangible evidence against you, and you locked up. And then you wonder why we holler racism. You wonder why we say the police are corrupt. You wonder why you got people that will say defund the police. It's because of stuff like this here. Now, don't forget the Central Park 5. Y'all remember that? Back in the 80s, them 5 brothers got accused of just brutally assaulting this white woman. And I don't know if it was her testimony, because she could barely remember what happened and stuff, but whatever, they interrogate these brothers, and you can see how over time, over hours, that their stories changed, because they just wanted to go home. They was tired, they was hungry, they wanted to go home, they was scared, and they confessed and then pointed fingers at other people and each other, and they end up in prison. Come to find out they didn't do it, but you knew they didn't do it, but the law is like, well, hey, they confessed, so they had to be guilty. Anyway, Derek Chappelle, 41, Morton Johnson, 44, and Samuel G.R.O.W.T.H, 47, I think 2 of them were cousins, were each convicted in separate trials of second-degree murder and other charges in 2000 and 2001, and sentenced to life in prison for the 1997 killing of Henrietta Nickens, 70, in Chester, Pennsylvania. And it's funny how people love to say that it's racism in the South. When you think of racism, you think of slavery, you think of Alabama, Mississippi, Texas. But for some reason, most of the cases stories that end up online, they from up north in your abolitionist states. So what does that tell you? Yet they have maintained their innocence over the 2 decades they've been in prison. Last year, the Chester Trio asked the judge to throw out their convictions and order new trials. Citing new DNA evidence, they said points to an unknown man as a killer. Prosecutors, though, fought to keep the 3 behind bars and uphold the conviction, saying DNA evidence did not change anything already known at the time of the trials. Now, I tried to find as many articles as I could about this story, and I have not seen anything that said that these boys were troublemakers, that they've run afoul of the law anytime prior to this crime being committed. Why does it seem like the prosecutors, even when they're wrong, still fight to keep innocent people in prison? Now, there have been times, like, I don't know how old you guys are, but there was a case down here in Texas with a guy named, I think his name is Lionel Jeter. He was convicted and sentenced to death for a crime, I want to say, back in the 80s. So I was young, but I do kind of remember the case. And what pretty much George Bush, the young one, I think, said is that, I don't know, I want to say he said it, but he was involved somehow. I think he was a governor of Texas at the time, I believe. But he said that pretty much the dude was guilty of something. He may not be guilty of this crime, but he's guilty of some crime. You know what? I'll take it back. I don't know if he said it, but I know he said, I don't know. I know he was part of this whole case and execution and everything. But somebody said that this dude, he has committed so many crimes, so it's like, hell, he was guilty of something, pretty much. So he deserved the death penalty for his past crime, because he had, run afoul of the law a few times before that last conviction. Kind of like Tookie Williams. His high profile case, he was executed, and when he was like convicted of deleting a couple of people in a store with a sawed-off shotgun. He said he didn't do it, say he wasn't there, say he was set up. But they wouldn't overturn it, even with the evidence and even the evidence and witnesses, they wouldn't overturn it, because basically they were saying the same thing. He done so much, he's guilty of something. But like I said, I tried to look up these guys' story, and I couldn't find anywhere where they had ran afoul. If they have, let me know in the comment section, or email me and let me know so we can come back and revisit this story. It say in Thursday's ruling, Delaware County Judge Mary Alice Brennan sided with the trio, vacating the convictions and granting their request for a new trial. Like I say, why the prosecutors always fighting for even though they know they're wrong? I don't understand that. The ruling is a vindication of the long protest of innocence, says Paul Castellerio, an attorney with Centurion who represents G.R.O.W.T.H. This order means so much in that it says the court believes that these guys will be acquitted. They're innocent, Castellerio told CNN. That's powerful after all these years of knocking on the door and being denied everywhere they went. The ruling spurred a range of emotion from the men. Their attorneys told CNN. As soon as Johnson heard, he went and found Derek in the yard and brought Derek in, and they just stood there hugging and crying, said Vanessa Potkin of the Innocence Project, who represents Johnson. You can imagine what an ordeal this has been for them. Chappelle was really excited and grateful, says Neelam Sangvi of the Pennsylvania Innocence Project, which represents Chappelle. We're really glad the judge understood the power that the new evidence would have, Sangvi said. Still, Chappelle Johnson gradually remain behind bars. Prosecutors have up to 30 days to decide whether to appeal the judge's ruling, and a bail hearing set for May 23rd. I doubt that they appeal the judge's ruling, especially with DNA evidence. There's no way in the heck you really think you're gonna win that. You just want to, if you do, just want to waste taxpayers' money for some reason. Delaware County District Attorney's Office Director of Policy and Public Engagement, Margie McAboy, said no decision has been made yet. The DA will meet with his deputy for law and appeals, Kate Kafer, next week to review next steps, she said in the email. Well, this story is about 4 or 5 days old. Today's Friday, April 5th. So if they ain't did it by now, then I don't know. Castellerio, G.R.O.W.T.H's attorney, said his client is very happy, but no, he's not out yet until each one of them is out and free. It isn't over, she said. The 3 men were represented by nonprofit organizations working to free people they believe are wrongly convicted. Johnson by the Innocence Project, Chappelle by the Pennsylvania Innocence Project, and G.R.O.W.T.H by Centurion. The law firm Shook, Hardy, and Bacon also provided pro bono legal services for Chappelle. They say the case is just one of a number of murder convictions to be overturned years afterwards. On March 18th, Pennsylvania freed C.J. Rice from prison after he served more than a decade behind bars for shooting his doctor. The father of CNN anchor Jake Tapper said he could not have physically committed. So then it says what the case was about. So the case against Chappelle Johnson and G.R.O.W.T.H stemmed from the killing of 70-year-old Henrietta Nichols. Now check this out, because this is what's crazy. Like, this is what really will get you heated. Who died in her home in Chester on October 10th, 1997. She had been beaten, and investigators found semen in her, rectum and a mysterious green jacket with cocaine in the pocket on top of her TV. They tested the semen at the time, showed it was from a male who remains unknown till this day, according to court filings. Testing of the semen at the time, which meant that this was a test. This is not the new DNA. This is the test that was done during the investigation, and they say it didn't match any of the defendants. It said the case against them primarily relied on testimony from a key witness, 15-year-old Richard McElway, who said he acted as lookout while the other three robbed Nickens for $30, according to court records. Now, here's the thing. Studies have shown that, well, eyewitness testimony is very unreliable. But studies have also shown that the police has a history of doing interrogations that will cause innocent people to plead guilty, to confess, if you will. This boy is 15 years old. Imagine your 15-year-old child. I don't care if he's an A student. I don't care if he's a dropout. 15 years old. Being placed in a room, no windows, hard walls, hard seats, desks, with grown men in his face, interrogating him. Now, I haven't seen no videos, I ain't seen nothing, no stories about this, but I'm going to speculate, if we want to speculate, that he was interrogated for hours, that the story changed, that they probably led him to say things. This guy probably was part of the crime itself. I'm gonna say possibly, not probably. But I'm sure he was in the area. I'm sure these other brothers was in the area, and their name, for some reason, probably their name came up. These youngsters were probably talking about what had happened. They probably know who done it. Let me stop saying probably. It's possible that they knew who done it, because somebody probably bragged in the street, but they wasn't gonna snitch because our community don't do that. But it's quite possibly that they interrogated this brother for hours on end. His story changed, and then toward the end, he just wanted to go home as soon as possible. And they made him believe that if he don't cooperate and say what they want, he'd be locked up for life. So he possibly changed the story in the end. And what did they do? In exchange for his testimony, McElway agreed to plead guilty to a third degree murder and other charges, and was sentenced 6 to 12 years in 99, according to court records. CNN has not been able to reach McElwee. So 12 years, if he served the whole 12 years, what's that? 99, 09, 10, 11, maybe 2011. Then he was out. These brothers were still in prison right now. I'm sure he didn't know no better. I'm sure he didn't know what to do. But what we always tell youngsters, and what you should tell your youngsters is what? Never say nothing to the police. Don't say you don't know what they're talking about, and don't answer. If they ask you questions, just say, I need to speak to an attorney. Am I under arrest? Am I being detained? If so, I need to speak to an attorney. If not, I need to go. Simple as that. They can get upset, pissed off, but they have to abide by the law. Never say, I don't know what you're talking about. Never say it wasn't me. Just don't even address what they're saying. And this is stuff you have to tell your kids at a young age. I got 2 daughters. Told them the same thing. Don't fuss, don't argue, especially with grown folk, especially with the police. Doug said, don't address what they're saying. Just say, I need my parents here, or I need my lawyer here. You're not gonna answer the question. I need these people here before I say anything. Yes or no, or indifferent. Simple as that. Get pulled over by the police at night, or hell, any time, call me. Put it on speakerphone. I won't say a word. I'm listening. Or put it on video. I won't say a word. And you answer the questions, if need be. But if it's something that sounds like they're trying to interrogate you, you just, you keep it simple and make them do their job. Keep them honest. That's what you want to do. It says, man, let's see. I ain't got too much more of this. Let's see. It said a petition for a new trial after the new DNA test, which took place in 2021, further linked evidence from the crime scene to an unknown male and excluded 3 defendants, according to Chappelle's attorney. Heck, it could have been this 15-year-old. Modern DNA testing techniques, particularly touch DNA, revealed the DNA from the semen matched several other items of crime at the crime scene, including more semen on the green jacket and on the BS sheet and items in the jacket pockets, according to attorneys for the defendant. Timothy Palmbach, an expert in crime scene reconstruction, testified in the Delaware County courtroom last August about the new DNA evidence, in particular a mixture of the unknown man's semen, the victim's blood, and urine in the bed sheet. The commingling of these body fluids showed the beating and the assault occurred about the same time, he testified, rebutting a key prosecution argument that they were unrelated. The mixture to fundamentally change the nature of the crime scene and the conclusion to be drawn from it, Palmbach said in the court and wrote in a forensic report. However, the prosecution argued, check this out. Check this out. However, the prosecution argued their initial trials did not connect the semen to the defendants, and so these test results did not change the evidence. What evidence? That's what's missing in this story. The prosecution also raised the possibility the 70-year-old may have had a secret sexual partner. May have. So you going off of speculation. Now, when you're in a court of law, I could have sworn that you need nothing but the evidence. Got to be tangible evidence. We can't go off speculation, hearsay, nothing like that. It's got to be hard facts. But yet you say that she may have had a secret partner. Man, you people can go to hell with that. The totality of the evidence, including the post-conviction DNA evidence, is just as consistent, if not more consistent, with Miss Nickens having consensual intercourse prior to the assault as it is with an unknown perpetrator committing both the assault and, the essay and the physical assault, prosecutors wrote. You gotta get out here and explain yourself. I need to see what the heck you talking about. So what's the possibility? She said, I'm finna go watch the news, hang up the phone. Her boyfriend come over. Now they say she was like physically ill. That's one thing I saw in one of the stories. So they're basically saying that she probably couldn't really have intercourse with somebody. Another one said, it was, rectal. So you know what that means. 70 years old. I guess they're just trying to say she's a freak, huh? So without saying it, and nobody knows who this person is that came over. But there's no DNA, no palm handprints, no nothing in the house except hers and whoever, I guess, did that to her. Or whoever, who her secret partner is. Man, look, bottom line, racism, I'm sorry. It's abundant. It's a fact. It's part of the American culture. I don't know about the rest of the world. It's a part of American culture, period. People are racist. People are, the law enforcement, they have to clear their books, to get funding. It's all, it's about money. It's about notoriety. It's about politics. We got to get a conviction. Hey, these 3 dudes, we looked into it. They may have been there. We looked at 100 other people. Let's just pick these 3 and just see if we can interrogate them, see what they say. See if they smart enough or dumb enough to ask for a lawyer. And they probably didn't ask for a lawyer. And that dude there the 15-year-old who confessed, he probably didn't have a lawyer at the time. I'm willing to bet. But anyway, this is just another story. A lot of convictions. How many? Let me see. Let me see real quick, real time. How many convictions have been overturned by DNA? That's a good one right there. What do you know about DNA? How many DNA exonerated already? Let's say, I don't know when this was written. Describing cases further, the RNE website lists a total of 1,944 exonerations since 1989. This includes both non-DNA and DNA. And improper forensic science is cited in 24% of all exonerations, not just DNA exonerations, such as those reported by the Innocence Project. Amazing. Say DNA exonerations in the let's see, 1989 to 2000. Let's see what this little website say. This is from the Innocence Project. Fast facts: 1989, the first DNA exoneration took place. 375 DNA exonerees to date. So out of, what did I say, 1,200, 1,400, like 375 DNA exonerees to date. 37 states where exonerations have been won. 14 average number of years served. 5,284 total number of years served. 26.6 average age at the time of wrongful conviction. That's young, man. That's young. 43 average age of exoneration. 21 of 375 people served time on death row. 44 to 375 pled guilty. 44 to 375 pled guilty to crimes they did not commit. Can you imagine those who have not been able to be exonerated, who pled guilty for crimes they did not commit? This is just because of the ones that the Innocence Project has invested time and effort into. 69% involve eyewitness misidentification. And of these, 34% of these misidentified cases involved an in-person lineup, 52% involved a photo array, 7% from a mugshot book, 16% from a show-up procedure, 5% from a one-on-one photo procedure, 27% involved through a composite sketch, 11% through a voice misidentification, 2% involved in misidentification through hypnosis, 54% in court misidentification, 29% involved in through some other procedure, like mistakenly recognizing someone on the street and reporting them to law enforcement. 7% involved multiple procedures, 84% involved by a surviving victim. 42% involved a cross-racial misidentification. 32% involved misidentification of the same person by different witnesses. Dang! 18% involved a failure to identify the exoneree in at least 1%. Can you imagine multiple people saying that you did something and you didn't? That is crazy. And it said 84% by surviving victims. So you mean, see, because you're talking about a traumatic event. There's no way in the world I can sit there. I mean, you think about it. You really can't expect the person who just got assault or victimized to really be able to think clearly, because it's the mind is going a mile a minute, just trying to survive. To be that calm and cool and collective, and to be able to remember, recognize somebody, man. Hey, the numbers don't lie, as they say. It's a 43% involved misapplication of the science to forensic science. 29% involved false confessions. 49% of the false confessions were 21-year-old or younger at the time of the arrest. Kids who just want to go home. 31% were 18 years old or younger at the time of the arrest. 9% of the false confessions had mental health or mental capacity issues known at trial. This is crazy. 17% involved informants. 268 of them DNA exonerees compensated. 190 DNA exonerees worked on by the Innocence Project. 165 actual assailants identified. Those actual perpetrators went to be convicted of 154 additional violent crimes, including 83 SAs, 36 murders, and 35 other violent crimes, while the innocent sat behind bars for early offenses. And that's what you have to worry about. This is why it should be very, this is why they have to make sure that that the person they got is correct, not to be solely focused on this person. And he has to be the one who done it, or she has to be the one who done it. You have to find a person that actually done it, because think about this, and you learn this as a parent with kids, or if you watch over kids. If a child gets away with something as simple as do something at home, not punished, and they can continue to live their life with no repercussions, they'll continue to commit that act. It may even take it up a notch. They'll take it up a notch enough until they get caught. Most time people, they're not gonna stop, because something will come up to where they'll be tested again and they will fail. Same thing with criminals. If a criminal knows that the crime they committed was, so was tried and someone else was prosecuted and sent to prison, they can be like, shoot, I can get away with this all the time. So why am I worried about it? I'm just gonna keep going. I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing. Sometimes you just gotta use common sense. It said the demographics of the 375 are 225, 60% African American, 117, 31% Caucasian, 29 of them, 8% Latinx. Why they call them that? 1% were Asian Americans. One of them was Native American, and one self-identifies other. Anyway, man, you know what? Crazy story, man. Crazy. This is a sad story, man. And the problem is, I'm sure there's tons and tons more of these where this came from. And hopefully they can get them all out, man. Hopefully they don't have to serve, because I'm sure these people have been tried, convicted, key thrown away for stuff they didn't do. And it's sad. But at least you got somebody out there to fight for them. But anyway, tell me what you think about this story, man. Leave your comments below. Share it with the world. Let's dialogue. Let's talk about this. Support the channel. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. All four. Doesn't cost you a dime. Just maybe a minute or two out your day. And it helps, boost the channel, boost the video in the algorithm, get more views, get more subscribers, so they can help me to where I can, better advance the channel. If you got anything you want to talk about, any stories you want me to cover, hit me up. soulinthesoil@gmail.com. That's soulinthesoil@gmail.com. If you do want to support the channel monetarily, the links in the description box you can click. Also, you can do super chat, super thanks. But however you support, thank you. I appreciate you. Just give me a thumbs up. Anyway, with that being said, I'll leave you in peace, and I'll see you